Hello, hello, and welcome to this week's show of The Profit Loop. Chances are you're probably investing in all of the things. Google ads, you have somebody posting on social media, you have somebody attending events, you have billboards maybe that you've put up. You're trying to network in different places. You're signing up for sports teams in hopes that somebody will send you a referral. Now, I'm not saying that any of these things are bad or that the people you're paying to do these activities are bad. The problem is there's no connection between all of the things you're doing and actual patients coming in the door. This week, we are focusing specifically on functional medicine. So if that is you, you want to stay tuned. And if it's not you, you might want to stay tuned anyway, because there's probably some things you're doing that are going to appear in this episode that will apply to your specialty practice or professional services business. If we haven't met yet, I'm Alisa Conner, and I help specialty medical practices and professional services firms grow not by outspending their competitors, but by building patient and client experiences that they can't wait to tell other people about. Most of the time, when I talk to specifically specialty medical practices, I have the same conversation with them. And that conversation goes a little something like this. We're spending money on social media. We're spending money on posting content. We have a social media manager who posts all these things. We're doing webinars. We have done all of the things that everybody has always said to do. We have a newsletter. We're on LinkedIn, and none of it's working. Our schedules still aren't full. We don't have people coming through the door. Our referrals are drying up, and we have months where our revenue is completely unpredictable and we need some stability. It seems like we have some good momentum when we try something new, but at the end of the day, it fizzles out and it doesn't go anywhere. If this is you, you're not alone. Like every organization, specifically in medical, experiences this, but also professional services experience this because they have the same problem. More often than I would like, I get the comment from the medical field that, what medical experience do you have? And have you worked with medicine? And my answer to that is always, even if I don't have specific experience in your specialty, the problems that medical specialty practices as well as professional services firms experience are the same. It's all around how to connect the dots between the things that you're doing and the things that actually drive patients and customers through the door. At the end of the day, you may be listening to all the gurus. You may be doing all of the things that they tell you to do. You may have tried it all and it was expensive and it is still expensive to keep it running. And what's frustrating is you're not seeing any return on investment on those activities. And the biggest challenge is that nobody laid down a map from how that tactic, for example, a webinar, is going to bring a new patient through the door. And if you aren't laying down that map, there's no path for that person to follow. So therefore, they never get to your door. That's what we're trying to avoid. Chances are, if this is you, your immediate response to this is our calendars aren't full. We don't have enough people coming in. Our patients are drying up. We have a very inconsistent flow of new patients or customers. Your immediate response is we need to run more ads. We need to post more on social media. We need to have a webinar. We need to do whatever the latest, greatest thing is. Right now, it's AI. We need to do that because it's going to work. But I'm here to tell you that no matter what you continue to implement without a plan, without a strategy, and without connecting the dots to where you want to be, what you're investing in as far as tactics isn't wrong per se. What is missing is the glue that holds all those tactics together that gets you to your goals. Chances are you probably have at least one agency, a few people on your marketing team, or multiple agencies that are running your marketing. And everybody has the next greatest idea. Let's start a podcast. Let's put more money into ads. Let's focus on AI this year. Let's focus on whatever the latest and greatest thing is. We're going to do live video on YouTube. And yet at the end of the day, nobody is connecting all of the things that you're doing to your end goal, or they don't even know what the end goal is. They're just throwing money and time towards things that they think might work and hoping that something sticks to the wall. 9 out of 10 times or more, 10 out of 10 times actually, it doesn't work. And they can't figure out why. So all that does is add one more thing to do to the list of things that aren't working, or if they are working, we don't know that they're working because there's no diagnostic in place, there's no measurement system in place, and there's certainly no specific goals assigned to any of the things that you're doing. You don't have a marketing problem. You have a systems problem. It takes a different skill set to grow a business than it does to run a business. And you, chances are, have run into the processes and systems that you're using out of necessity, not out of strategy. If that's the case, sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. People don't like that, especially when they're already overwhelmed and they feel like there's so much going on already. How are we going to slow things down? But if you never slow down to actually look at what you're doing, what you're spending money on, and whether or not those things are working, you're never going to get to the result that you want to get to. There are usually three places where things start to fall apart when you don't have the right systems in place. And the first one is going to scare you a little. I'm not going to lie. And it doesn't matter if you're in functional medicine, orthopedics, or even dermatology. And that is you have to get really specific with who you're talking to. And if you don't get specific, the people that you want to work with the most, or the people that would be the best fit for your office, are never going to find you. And the reason is that if you're out here talking about all the people that you serve and all the things that you do, and you don't have a specialty, there's no reason for them to seek you out. This is always the most resistant part of me working with a new client, in that they don't want to narrow their focus because they have the ability to do all of these different things. But without narrowing, you can't have specific connected conversations with people, which is the only way you're going to stand out in today's crowded market. Chances are pretty high every one of your competitors is saying that they do and operate exactly the way you do. There's no differentiation. They're not talking to a specific audience. They're talking to everyone. Now, trust me when I say I've probably looked at about 400 different specialty medical practice websites, and almost 99% of them say the same thing in a different font, a different color, or in a different layout on their web pages. This is the reason they're not standing out. This is the reason people can't find them, and they don't know how to choose them over someone else. Without clarity around who your ideal patient is, you don't know what they're struggling with. You don't know what their biggest problems are. You don't know what keeps them up at night. You don't know why they haven't fixed this problem previously. And you certainly don't know how to start a conversation with them. That's like going to a cocktail party and you see someone across the room and you see that they're kind of limping. And so you take it upon yourself to go over and start a conversation with them. And you don't ask them anything about their limp. You just go into all the ways that you fix it. And meanwhile, they look at you and go, I just stubbed my toe and I don't need any of these things. So thanks, but bye. That's what we do with our marketing. And we wonder why no one's paying attention is we haven't spent the time or the energy to get to know the people that we want to work with. And we just start a conversation from, hey, it's all about me. It's all about me. And then we wonder why nobody tunes in. That's challenge number one is if you don't know who you're talking to, you can't have a conversation with them. The second struggle area is not knowing the journey that the people that want to work with you or your current patients are going on. You assume that the journey is all about you and what you offer and your services and how it works in your office. But what are the odds that you have thought about the journey from their perspective? How many specialists have they gone to? Who do they talk to about this problem? Have they seen anybody else? Once they get to your office, what is that experience like? Are they sitting on the phone for 10 hours? Are they, not able to get in to see you for 3 or 4 months? Are they feeling like a number and not a person? Is anyone even asking them specifically what's going on and whether or not you can help them? Every part of this journey is really significant. And there are 6 key areas that you need to focus on with that patient journey. Most people get to step 1 and they stop. And that's why things are falling apart, not only with marketing, but with why patients stay or refer you to other people and friends. And then the third struggle area that I see with functional medicine is that there's no measurement in place for whether or not things are working. And if you don't know whether things are working or not, how do you know what to go all in on or what to cut and throw out the door? I've seen so many people. I have a perfect example of a professional services organization who runs a podcast. And the founder of that organization is adamant about keeping the podcast because her podcast producer convinced her that she has endless number of people listening to the podcast. But when we go and look at the numbers, we see that the conversation that is happening with the producer versus the reality of the people listening to the show are very different things. She's invested thousands and thousands of dollars into a podcast that really no one's listening or paying attention to. At the end of the day, I can't help you choose what to keep investing in and what to not invest in if you aren't willing to sit down and measure and actually look at what's happening with the tactics going on in your business, in your organization. If you continue to invest in a podcast that hasn't brought you one client or one patient, why do you keep spending thousands of dollars a month on that when you've been running it for 5, 6, 7, 8 years or shorter? If you don't see patients or clients coming in, cut that baby out and do something different. But at the end of the day, people aren't measuring any of that. They either aren't measuring or their agency is throwing out measurements and analytics about things that aren't related to patients. This is the other area that I see a lot of practices struggle with, is they hire people who are supposed to be accountable and reliable to grow their business, but then they throw vanity metrics at them about clicks and click-throughs. None of those things are leading to patients. And if you can't connect the dots between that click on Facebook, for example, and a person walking through the door, that tactic isn't working. Random acts of marketing aren't going to grow your practice or your business. You have to have a map that connects the dots between everything you're doing and people walking through the door and becoming patients. And even more so, once they become patients, a map for them to easily refer you to their friends and family. If that isn't happening, you're going to continue struggling and investing in things that aren't working. The organizations and practices of the future aren't going to be outspending you. They're going to be out strategizing you. And even more importantly, they're going to outhuman you because they're going to have the processes in place that allow them to have deeper, meaningful connections with their patients and with their clients because they put processes in place that track every dollar, every activity, and everything they do to more patients and longer patient relationships. You would never treat a patient with just random protocols. You would never walk up to somebody at a cocktail party and diagnose their limp without asking questions. It befuddles me how many practices in functional medicine are just throwing money at tactics that they never stop to say, why is this working? Why is it working? Or why isn't it working? And they never get past the metrics that their agency is throwing at them to ask the really specific question of where are the patients that are coming from this click? If there's anything you can take away from this episode today, it's that. Start asking better questions of the people that you're paying to grow your business. So if you tune into these episodes regularly, you know I always like to include an action plan, and this week is no different. So 3 steps to get you to start to see traction and make changes for your functional medicine practice that you can implement right now. Step 1 is to Google your business and see where you fall in the results. Are you on the first page? How far down the list on Google are you? If you're not on the first page, you have some work to do. And if you're below the first top 5 listings, you also have some work to do. And the reason is most people don't go past the first 5 listings. And most often it's the first 3 listings when they're trying to choose who they want to work with, especially when it comes to medicine. And that's typically based off of whether or not they have a referral. The next thing you can do is go and look at the competitors you're facing. And I say go and look at maybe the top 5 or 10 results, whatever you have time for, and go and see the things that they're talking about. How is it different from you? Are they saying different things? Are they talking to specific people? Are they addressing specific problems? And the answer can be both good and bad. If they are, then you definitely have work to do and you need to do it quickly. And if they're not, then you have opportunity on your hands, which leads me to step number 3, which is make a list of 3 to 5 ways that you're different from all of your competitors. Other than the way that you do business. Do you work specifically with a group of people? Do you have results for people that other people don't talk about? Do you have stories that can compel other people to want to learn more? And then, of course, what do you do with the list? To go and look at your own website again and see if your differentiation is showing. Document 3 to 5 ways, whether they're showing up or not, that showcase how you're different from your competitors. And look at your social media. Look at your newsletter if you have one. Look at your website and look at your online directories to see if you're showcasing those 3 to 5 factors. And if you're not, then that's a great place to start. If this video resonated with you and if you're currently struggling to grow your practice, the first place to start to analyze where things may be broken or where things need to change is through an assessment. And I provide a free assessment and give you 3 action steps that you can take immediately that are going to make improvements in what you're doing and how you're spending your money, and to track what is going on in your practice to ensure that the money you're investing is actually leading to patients. You can participate in that free assessment by clicking the link below this video. I would be honored to be able to help and support your practice and your organization, and look forward to connecting with you soon. In the meantime, if you have enjoyed this content and you found value in it, I would love for you to share it with somebody else. And if you are on YouTube, I would love for you to click the like button because I like that and so does YouTube. And in the meantime, I will see you next week. Take care, be well, stay safe.